We require BSDF, BRDF. For your information, this is actually mathematical of lighting, bidirectional scattering, distribution functions. I'm not gonna actually bore you with that, but in order to create a very realistic lighting system, which follows the global lighting illumination, you need all these important points. You need your indirect light, you need your indirect shadow, which everything starts from a direct light, right? And then when it heads to very surfaces, something like candles or something that the light can go through, the calculation of those, the way that it scatters, the way that it creates the soft shadows that it actually are indirect. So this was very, very huge. You can see when the light illuminates, it's actually scattered around the surfaces. And then the indirect illuminations are that they bounce back. So this was very important to know how the lighting works if you want to actually create amazing lightings. So at least you know that all these terms, what they are, and what you can achieve with tweaking those parameters. Let's say if you actually hear, okay, what is the multi-bounce of my indirect lighting, and now you would know what are those. So you would actually have more consideration and more knowledge actually how to apply this. And again, multi-bounce indirect illumination, and it is, when it hits the surface, is actually bounce out, and then the indirect diffuse was very important for us to actually have a more realistic way. Specifically that if you have a bright color, like the people that actually wear maybe the bright colors, we're talking about greens, we're talking about red. If you actually stand in front of the directional light, which is like light source, we're talking about sun, when the light hits you, it actually has a little bit of color bleeding. That's how it is. It's very important. These small details in lighting creates huge, tremendous results. So it's very important. And in Unreal Engine 4, the challenge was when we were working in a lighting scenario, let's say if you're a lighting artist, what you could see in real time, it was directional lighting only, because you could have baked the lighting to see the indirect lighting. That was a bit challenging. As you can see, these are very important. The bounces that it's gonna have, the color bleeding, as I mentioned, you see, this is the realism that we want to have. But again, it was challenging. We should have faked it, or it was a lot of work around to achieve that. A lot of amazing features actually Unreal Engine 4 brought us to actually come closer to this. But again, it was time consuming, right? So through GI, we shall be friends. And one of the solutions was the real-time ray tracing, which I'm telling you, it would be very expensive. But how it works basically, it's either based on the camera frustum, or maybe those rays need to be actually shoot out, and then there would be bounces. So here we're talking about global illumination. The bounces were optional. So let's say if you turn your project to a ray tracing project, everybody was like, oh my God, why suddenly my FPS drops crazily? Because this is real time. It's calculating every single frame of all these parameters. So it would be very expensive to produce a global illumination, and also to produce the shadows, as you can see, and also the reflections we're talking about. So the more bounces you would have, the more FPS would drop, and the more performance issue you would have. So you could have done a lot of optimization. That's why in ray tracing, one of the common practice was to have a simplified static mesh or assets as much as you have. So you won't need all these small polygons to be calculated in real time. You can see the advanced reflection. If you would have bumped up in the post-process volume, we would have seen, oh nice, now I can see some stuff, but the FPS was like, no, I'm dying, don't do that. I'm your GPU. And this was my GPU, basically. Or any of yours, this is fine. But you would have seen, like, if you would move the camera or the editor, they'd be like, that's not your editor will look. Because it has to recalculate everything. So this was one of the solutions. But now, the Lumen changes everything. So Lumen, what it does for us basically, it renders direct diffuse interreflection, and then with infinite bounces. This is amazing. And indirect specular reflection inside the engine. And then we can have large, vast, detailed environment with amazing lighting. You can see here. You can see here. We are talking about the indirect shadows, the indirect global illumination, the soft shadows, and so many things. So what Lumen actually provides to us, one of them is color bleeding, as I mentioned. So try it yourself. Download the engine if you haven't, and then create a very basic material, put it on just a cube, just maybe like base colors, the primary colors, and then under the directional light, this exact one, you can see if you move it around near a wall, you can see how nicely this bleeding happens. So it's very important. And then it does only that. It does a lot of actually soft indirect shadow for us, and then multi-bounces indirect illumination as I showed earlier, as well as supportive emissive materials and even emissive skylight injection. Because in Unreal Engine 4, we could only inject emissive materials upon light baking. And there was a lot of actually setups to do that. And then in order for you to see how my setup looks like, wait for the light baking to finish. And that would require a very powerful CPU because it's based on light mask. That's where GPU light mask came, and it helps this process a lot. But now, you don't need to be worried about that. That's what Lumen does for you. It gives you this intense, realistic results with just few clicks. And then from there, based on those points and parameters that I tell you, you can create even more realistic and very high intense details. So the next slide, virtual shadow map. This is another crazy, amazing feature that comes with Unreal Engine 5. You see, in order for you to get the soft shadows in Unreal Engine 4, it was either use ray tracing again, and you know what ray tracing does, it just basically kills your GPU. But results were amazing. Or in a light mask building, and then you could have fake it. There was a lot of options for each of the lights, if you're talking about movable, stationary, or static, which I'm not gonna cover. But again, there was a way to fake it, but right now, you don't need to. All you need to do, you just need to go to your project setting, change the shadow mapping to the new method, which is virtual shadow map. That's it. Source angle under your light. It does the job. Amazing. So that's why you can see in these areas, we have a lot of soft shadows, and specifically in that bright scenes that you can see from the rocks that is actually projects, very nice subtle soft shadows. But again, this is up to your taste, up to your scene, up to the settings that you want to have based on the prototype of the environment that you want to have, and what so on. Let's move to another important one, world partition. This is very important. So back in time, in Unreal Engine, we could have actually used world composition in Unreal Engine 4, which you would have to have required a lot of setup to do that. But one of the main issue was, as I mentioned earlier, if an artist was working on the level dressing and another sub-level, that particular level could be locked out completely. So in a source control that you use, it could be Perforce, it always shows locked. Although that you guys are in a team and you need to, it's like, come on, you could have messaged your colleague, are you done? Are you done? Are you done? Can you come in? Can you come? Because you could have catch your deadlines. So this could be problematic in sometimes. And world creation now, it's an automatic data system management that does all this for you and creates your world into the single cells, which is amazing. And it works perfectly with other utility that's come with it, which is one file per actor. That means that, let's say, if you want to edit one single tree inside this vast majority of the entire big scene, you could simply take that out, lock that out, edit it, and put it back. And everybody else still can have the access and work it on the level simultaneously. It comes to another one, data layers. Maybe in your data layers, you can inject other assets that can actually work better in terms of management of the world partition. And that's why, as you can see, you can have one of your assets in over there, or another asset. Let's say you want to have an asset that are actually very wet based on the weather that you're actually having in your scene. And another one could be like based on the weather that actually has been dried out, or some sort of different things that happen, maybe different placement of those assets. It can be actually done it. And another crazy thing is that it does the loading and loading system automatically for you. So you don't need to be worried. Although you have the ability to control it throughout the blueprints, throughout the C++, but if you actually are a very pure artist that doesn't have the tech knowledge, it's not a job for you, don't worry. And another feature is level instancing, which is amazing that you can actually instance a lot of assets together and then use them in different sub-levels or the persistent level easily. And another one is the port partition hierarchical level of details. which is another tool for managing the world partition in a way better system. But again, if you're actually very interested, you can read up the documentation. The documentation of Unreal Engine is amazing. It gives you as much as context for you and in a very easy way to digest for everybody, if you're new or if you have advanced knowledge, and then slowly you can see. So yeah, let's move to the next one. Meta-human character creator. So I'm not gonna actually cover this much because we have seen in an amazing presentation earlier. But I'm just gonna cover some of more context that how it could be very hard for us to create cinematic quality of these characters. Either it would be for a game, it could be for a film, animation. This would be very hard actually, very, very hard, trust me. Only AAA studio or like big companies, they used to do that because they utilize specific teams for those. And it could require tremendous of times, trust me on that. But right now, with a cloud-based system, which is pixel streaming of MetaHuman creators, you can create your own MetaHuman. If you haven't tried it, go try it out. You can mix different races based on the preset that it has, and you can come up with a new look. Or if you want to actually even go further advanced, one of the latest features that come out is actually MetaHuman, the scanning of the head, specific the custom head itself. So that means if you actually looking for a specific look or a specific actor that you actually want to use it in your production, you can actually get it scanned and then import it, and all those rigs, all those animations, all the setup will be applied through that easily. So you don't need to hustle a lot, and then boom, put up the mocap, let's record. So this was very important as a part of the Unreal Engine 5 tools, which is amazing to use. And the next one is the modeling tool. Maybe you haven't heard about it, but maybe you heard about it, but you're not really sure. The modeling tools right now, it actually shows you a lot of varieties in terms of the formation, a lot of operation in your assets inside the engine. We're talking about UV wrapping, unwrapping, we're talking about UV editing, we're talking about a lot of the formation, topology, so many other cool tools inside the engine. Why I'm emphasizing inside the engine? Because back in time, you used to export it out to any other DSS software that you use based on your favor, and then you could have done the operation there, and then you could have imported back again. So just imagine how it would be time consuming for small changes throughout this process. But now these modeling tools, it actually give you the ability to edit it real time and then save it either as a new asset or your coexisting asset. So it's amazing. Go check it out, go try it out, it's amazing. A bonus point is that actually we do have some dynamic mesh, which is amazing. On real time, you can do a lot of operation, Boolean operation and what's so on. I'm just gonna put the interest in you, go read and learn about it. And next one, we have a user experience and interface upgrade. Unreal Engine 5 has a facelift up, and it's amazing that we can see the whole UI is much scaled up and it's much easier for everybody to use. The Create tab, the integration of Quixel bridge inside the engine, so you don't need to be worried about open the standalone bridge anymore, because that could be some challenges that you could actually port it, but easily with few clicks, you can have your assets in Nanite system ready from Quixel itself, and then you just drag and drop it in your level. Go nuts, crazy cool stuff. All right. This was my face when I saw the Unreal Engine UI. You shouldn't be there to see me, actually. Another cool thing is that the existing cool ecosystem. Unreal Engine 5 is a backward compatibility. So that means that if you recently started to work a project in Unreal Engine 4, you can actually convert it to Unreal Engine 5 and work it from there onwards. And there's actually tons of tutorials for you to do that in a proper way, so you actually have the least amount of setup. But this is very huge, because sometimes in other softwares, when there is an upgrade comes out, you have to forget about your previous projects or previous files, and you will like, oh man, from scratch? Oh, no, here. It's all good. You can actually do that, and this is amazing. Okay, next one. All right, bonus is the Epic Games dev community and the new portal, which is amazing. Right now, you can actually have the access to the tutorial snippet of different developers with a simple copy and paste. You can actually get their blueprints, get their ideas, implement it in your same project, or even if you have something cool that is actually a prototype of something that you think is useful in game development, in film animation industry, ICVFX or what's on, just put it there. Or actually you can go and learn it. There's a lot of tutorials from various people, from the content creator, from Epic Games itself, and also there's samples. There's so many cool things about it. You can have discussion, you can have Q&A. If you have any issue that you don't know, if you're new to Unreal Engine and you actually face some of the issues that completely unknown, and go ahead. They're just gonna answer you very soon, maybe in a day or in hours or a minute. All right, the next point is, so before I actually go here, this was only the highlighted feature of Unreal Engine 5. There is tons of other features that there's no time for me to cover, but please do read up. Learn your tools properly. Once you know the tools, you know your groundwork, you know how to step stronger. This is very important. What I always advise, do not just remember the parameters or, okay, when I want to do this, I go here. No, it's good as a startup, but learn why you're doing this. This is really important because if you face any issues, you know the core foundation of that specific steps that you're doing and you know how to troubleshoot or where to start. And the impact of Unreal Engine 5. Unreal Engine 5 creates new thresholds in various industries. We're talking about games. Now, the games can actually go next-gen quality, and you can see tremendous, crazy details environment that you will be feeling so pleased as a player to see inside the game. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then, after that, is the reshaping that some of the existing pipeline or even new pipelines is creating new pipelines, specifically in virtual production and so many things, or there were existing pipeline that now has been reshaped. I believe that this was covered in the previous presentation very nicely. And pushing the boundaries, that's what it does. I'm sure that you've seen a lot of things, comparison of Unreal Engine 4, the same project, same scene, and Unreal Engine 5 is a tremendous details that you can see and a completely different level. And then it's free and accessible. This is amazing. This is amazing not only for big studios, AAA studios, or those corporate studios, even for indie developers. This was very hard for people to get the access to these kind of tools before, because you should have spent a lot of money. Maybe you're just a startup, you don't have that, but now they are free and accessible for you. Not only the engine itself, a lot of other features, a lot of other tools that you can actually create it from ground up and then just go and launch your game. Launch a project that you were dreaming maybe back in times, but now, no more dreaming. Let's just start building. That's what happens. So again, another impact that is the expansion to other industries, as we can see in the past recent years, more industry coming in, various different industries that we're talking about. And then another huge important note that the future that Unreal Engine 5 holds is that the demanding for Unreal developers is keep increasing and increasing. So if you're Unreal Engine developers, it's a good time. You're in luck because there's gonna be a fight over you and then you're gonna have a lot of job offers that come to you. Or if you're new and you have no idea, just wanna start, it's a good time. Please do so. There's actually amazing articles about this from Epic Games, go read it. And these are some of the examples that other industries has been involved. We are talking about the Netflix Love, Death, and Robot, Volatiles. It was amazing that actually I saw the visuals and I was like, whoa, this wasn't actually supposed to be back in time. We could have achieved it in real time, but now there it is. And then even the Netflix series Silence that is coming, they're using Unreal Engine, and there's so many other titles that we're just gonna cover. And you can see artist projects are coming out in Unreal Engine 5 a lot lately, rather than other softwares, because, come on, real-time rendering, real-time changes, and all these tools in your hand, go nuts, simulation projects, AR projects, and many more. So that was my talk. I really hope that you guys enjoyed, you're gonna take something from this, and again, I'm really pleased to have this opportunity to be given to this talk for you. So please, if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer, maybe for 5 minutes, and then I will be done for the day.